Is this thing on? Are we live?
I did manage to start the broadcast this time, so
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Six Rings King Show. What's going on, DJ Vish? How you guys feeling tonight?
Awesome, awesome. Can't complain.
We got some pretty cool news. Some recruiting news that we'll definitely want to share with you. Some big names are putting us in their top five and things of that nature. A couple guys are visiting soon as well. A little bit of that. We've got our special guest coming on, none other than the excuse me, the goat of it all, Mr. Miami Flo, Mr. Flo, will be joining us in a little bit, and he is going to be my golf partner very soon too as well. We finally set up a tea time, so I'm pretty excited about chatting it up with Flo. He'll be on in a little bit. But before we even get there, this is actually a really slow week, right? I mean, there's absolutely okay. There's absolutely nothing going on when it comes to like Kings football practice and spring football and things like that. But to be quite honest with you, I mean, if anybody's paying attention, any of these Kings fans are paying attention. Uh, Miami apparently is doing the most when it comes to recruiting. I mean, on the recruiting trail, they're absolutely killing it. If you hear all, like the Hayes Fawcett's of the world and Top Luganville, all these guys are just talking about how busy and how crazy it's been on the recruiting trail for the Miami Hurricanes, especially this week now that spring football is on a little bit of a break, right? It's spring break right now for them. So not too much going on this week in the way of practice, but it'll get going again next week. So I'm pretty excited about that. But some big names, man. Some big names are starting to talk a lot about the Canes. There's some big time quarterbacks, some big time running backs as well. There was a running back here visiting recently as well. Another 4 or 5 star guy, and we'll talk to Flo about all that. Before we even get going on recruiting, how do you feel that the spring football is coming along so far? I mean, as far as what we know. And we'll start with Vish. Like, how do you feel as far as like some of the names that have been spoken about that are competing for a shot in spring?
yeah. No, I mean, I so far, I mean, there's nothing to really complain about. We knew, anytime in spring you're cautious with people. You don't want to get anyone injured. So if you're not 100%, you're basically not going to play. But I mean, to me, the one guy who I'm happy to kind of see stand out is Thad Franklin. I am I know the running back position is really crowded, so he's taking his opportunity and really stepping up there. I I don't know how many of these kids are actually going to be able to play, but I think he's making a strong case to play, which is big because when you see Parrish coming in, Cheney and Knighton are there, Citizens coming in this summer. It's very easy for someone like Franklin who probably should have got more carries last year than he did, especially with all the injuries, to just say, you know what, I'm out of here, and stays gone the other way, and he's showing out, and he's gonna force the team to play him by playing so well in practice, and so I think that's the one I'm most excited for. But overall, it's been steady as she goes. There's only a few practices, and then taking a break for spring breaks was kind of a stop and start there, and most of the talk has been around new schemes, installing new offense, new defense, and all that kind of stuff. Talking about it's not a striker anymore, it's now a star position, that kind of stuff. So less focus has been kind of on the individual performances, but Franklin's the one so far that we've heard about that I'm most excited for.
DJ, the install is important though, right? Like I think that the new names, the new schemes, the new plays, because maybe some of the plays are going to be the same. They're just going to be worded differently, right? So like, how important is it to get this install and get things going now from that perspective?
It's extremely important because during the install period, you want to really make
Hold on,
sure.
time out. I'm sorry, the Dolphins are signing Raheem Mostert, so I'm pretty excited about that. All
Oh,
right,
okay, wow.
continue. Yeah,
All
sorry
right.
about
No, that's good.
that.
During the install period, you really want to have kind of the basic concepts down. Not perfected because obviously that's what preseason camp is for, but this install period is extremely important, especially when you look at maybe some of the early enrollees, how they're adapting to the program, how they're adapting to the speed of the collegiate game. A lot of people, certainly not us, but many fans view spring ball as a time to kind of relax for certain players and a time to kind of take things easy. But the install period is extremely important, especially with an entirely new coaching staff, and there's a lot of expectations despite this new coaching staff for this Miami Hurricanes team. So for that, I think the install period is more important than ever.
Yeah, I think. Look, you nailed it. Like for me right now, the most important thing is not necessarily to have everybody out there. Yes, obviously that's important because you want to see how they all kind of play together. But look, it's spring football, man. So the install is the most important thing. You've got some players like you mentioned, DJ, that are newcomers, right? The new guys, the freshman kids, and the transfers that haven't played with this team before. So continuity install, that's important. I don't necessarily need to see these guys airing it out and going crazy, on the offensive side of the ball, or if if these guys sack TVD 6 million times and TVD's throwing three or four. I don't care about that, right? What I want to see is execution. These guys understanding the playbook, understanding what's going on, learning how to practice under this regime. I think that's big. That's really important. And look, Kuiche, what's up? Big shout out to Philly Kane and to Kuiche 047. Yeah, I mean, he brings up a good point, right? Establishing that culture. Absolutely, 100%. And I think that little by little, you're starting to see that because you're seeing guys like James Williams talking about it, like, this is a completely different team. This is a completely different culture that we're trying to, um, put into play here. So I think it's exciting to see that some of those names, the big names, the James Williams of the world, and those guys are really starting to step up and create that culture because it's important, man. The culture was so crappy, right? It was so crappy under the last regime that now you get this type of guy, you get Mario in to kind of install something completely different, and it looks like a lot of put it this way, it looks like a lot of people are buying into it, right? They're really kind of helping set the tone for what the fall and the summer is going to look like. Shout out to Rasta, Max, what's going on, fellas? Um, and I just think it's important. By the way, if y'all want to jump in, feel free to jump in. Vish, you can always send them the link if you want, or DJ, send the link to Max and Rasta. We got some time to chat a little bit before Flo gets on the show too. So, but for me, I want to see some of the guys that did get a shot, right? And Vish, you were on Max's show last night, and that was one of the questions that he asked, right? Like, some of the guys that did they get a fair shake? And I think one of them was Thad, right? You were talking about Thad that didn't get a fair shake. Maybe some of the linebackers that didn't get a fair shake either. And I'll kind of start off with you, DJ, on that end. We don't have to. Let's do this. You'll do offense since Vish talked about the about offense last night. Who's the guy, DJ, that you want to see on offense that didn't get a fair shake last year, kind of come in and see what he can do, not only in spring but going into fall too.
I think you kind of nailed it with Thad Franklin because when you look at what the running back room was last year, and when you look at the new names that have been brought in this year, he's a piece that I really think could have a chance to make a name for himself over this course of spring ball. As a recruit, he was a very, very solid runner, very physical runner, and you know, now is his chance to shine um, for the Hurricanes because you have to look at it too. This is a new coaching staff. This is a new slate for everybody. What happened in the past happened in the past. Now it's about trying to impress the new coaching staff. You got to put last year, 2 years, whatever behind you, and focus on right now. So if some of these guys like Franklin or some of these guys who didn't get a fair shot last year or for whatever reason didn't play, now is their chance to make their case.
Real quick, Vish, before we get to you, first thing, yeah, Philly Kane after spring practice is done. I see 10 to 12 guys transferring. Yeah, I mean, look, we spoke about this before. I saw maybe 8 to 10 guys that were gonna, transfer out, and I still think that could be a possibility. Look, sometimes you've got to. I hate to say it this way, but you got to cut some dead weight, right? Like that's just it's the nature of the beast. It happens everywhere. So I could definitely see that. Shout out to Gary, made it on time. Big shout out to Gary for making it on time and watching the show.
We
What's
gotta
up?
do Nuggets chat now then.
Nuggets chat with Gary Campbell, baby. The General, what's up? What's up? Uh, Thanks for joining the show as well. Um, Look, listen. on the defensive side, a lot of guys didn't get a shot, especially, and it's funny because our coach, right, last year part-timed part-timed as a defensive coordinator, as Vish likes to say. So he didn't give a lot of guys a fair shot, right? The only time some of the guys got in was because of injury. When you saw so much talent with some of these other kids, particularly at the linebacker position, you saw Tyreek Austin K when he came in, made plays, Deshaun Troutman. Who's the guy that you didn't get a fair shot last year, you think, Vish, on the defensive side of the ball that you can see kind of jumping in and making an impact now?
I mean, is it? I mean, I think Tyreek Austin Cave is certainly someone that we could have seen a lot more of last year. But I mean, that one's an easier one. I'll make the case for actually Leonard Taylor should have played a lot more, even though he started playing towards the end of the year and quickly proved he was the best defensive tackle on the team. And if you, it's hard to remember, at the now because we saw him progress at the end of the year, and you're like, man, locked in starter now. This guy is great. We spent 8 weeks of the season, whatever it was, listening to them explain that he didn't know the playbook, whatever nonsense, and he was just sitting on the bench while we were getting run up the middle on. So, I mean, it was, to me, that one was probably the most frustrating, just because we actually saw him play and he was good. So, because some of the other ones, you're like, yeah, this person should have gotten a fair shake. And then maybe when they come out there and play like this year, they're actually, maybe they shouldn't have, right? Maybe they aren't actually. This was someone that finally, when he got on the field, you're like, why the hell wasn't this guy playing? And that's the one that probably frustrated me the most. He should have been starting pretty much from day one. He was better, and I understand that position as a freshman. That's a physical position, and your body, you worry about the body being ready or whatever. We opened with Alabama. It feels like a million years ago, but that did happen. But the production out of that position was not acceptable, and those are the situations you're not bumping someone out just to like, let's throw the kid out there and see what he got. Right, and so to me, that was the one that was probably the most frustrating. He should have gotten a lot more snaps than he did last year, and that was the that was the one that frustrated me the most. Definitely Austin Cave, I feel like basically not playing was a big one, but to me, Leonard Taylor when he got on the field proved that he's already a legitimate very good with a big upside defensive tackle in college football, and the fact that we couldn't stop the run, we couldn't tackle that Michigan State game. Man, that was embarrassing. Leonard Taylor basically didn't play. So to me, that was probably the most frustrating one. He's obviously going to start now and play, but that was the type of stuff Manny Diaz would do. It was just he would pick his favorites, and those are the guys like we talked about. People not getting their shot, but also just I feel like him and I feel like Al Golden was the same way. I don't think Rick and Shannon were like this, but there was so much more concerned with controlling the public narrative than actually just winning the damn football game, which would then drive the narrative.
Right.
So some of the stuff he threw some young kids out there so he could say, well, we're playing young kids, and then other ones he'd keep the veterans out there for other reasons. And at no point did it feel like we were focused on how do we put the best offense and defense on the field. I feel like those were secondary concerns, and these kids got caught up in it. So I definitely, I'm assuming that culture is gone, which the 10 to 12 transfers, that feels a little high, but I think we will see an exodus.
Yeah, and you know what's funny that you mentioned, how they were talking about Leonard Taylor, how he didn't know the playbook or didn't understand, and then you heard him come out and kind of say something to that effect. And I just feel that's kind of like that. I don't know if I don't know if Stockholm syndrome is the right word to say, is the right way to express it, but maybe they got into his head, right, to say, well, I don't know the playbook. Maybe Manny wasn't giving him the play enough of the playbook to understand or to learn, or they were just giving him certain. I don't know what happened there, but he started to believe that crap as well, and he even came out and said it. And honestly speaking, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that the defensive tackle position is this position that does nothing but just tries to get to the quarterback or tries to plug a gap. I mean, there's obviously other intricacies that you have to learn in that position. But he's a defensive tackle. He's not a quarterback. He's not a running back. You know what I mean? He's not, an offensive line that has to pull all the time. You do have to do some stunts and this. I get that, but there's no reason that kid shouldn't have been out there from day one. Maybe not starting, but getting playing time right away.
And I'm not saying that, he shouldn't learn the playbook, but Leonard Taylor has enough skill to where if he makes a mistake playing at 100 miles an hour, nobody's going to notice it. He should have definitely gotten more playing time last year, and he has enough, physical skill to where even if he didn't know the playbook, I could still see him making a big impact on the field, especially at the defensive tackle position.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, 100%. Chug Beer, big friend of the big fan of the program, excuse me. Friend also, but fan of the program. Big shout out to you,
So
Gary, and Philly. Yeah, Philly
yep.
King again.
I'm going to introduce another. We're a fan of his program, but the man Miami Flo himself has arrived, and I
I
feel like we
mean,
should have theme music or entrance music, but I'm just going to hit the
he needs
button, and
no
he should.
introduction. He needs no
He doesn't need
introduction.
introduction. I feel like he warrants we get the smoke coming out. Like we should have him coming out the tunnel, but fortunately I don't have those technical skills, so I'm just gonna have him magically appear.
All right,
There's our
all right.
man.
There he is. There he is.
What's up, boys?
The man
How's it
that
going,
needs
Flo?
no introduction. What's going on, golf buddy?
What's good? What's good,
What's
man?
going on, man? Thanks for joining us for a little bit here. A little bit of a. I was telling Vish, I was telling everybody earlier. It's a little bit of a slow time, but that's only a slow time from what we see, optics, right? Behind the scenes, you got all these
Correct.
people talking about that the Miami Hurricanes are the ones on the trail that are doing the most damage right now. And we don't see that, right? Because that's all behind the scenes. That's Mario working behind the scenes. That's the whole entire staff. I mean, for God's sakes, they didn't announce Andrew Rogers until yesterday, right? So
Yep.
the kid's been here for 2 months already. So it's an exciting time in that aspect. How do you feel so far? First week of practice, right? First week of practice, not a lot going on, but some kids that really didn't get a shot last year. How do you kind of feel so far?
I mean, the thing that was the most exciting to me was just watching the new coaching staff. At the end of the day, it's to see them operate, to hear and watch the tempo, and it's almost embarrassing to see what a real program looks like and know that we were not even close to that for 17, 18 years. It's almost embarrassing because I drank the Kool-Aid sometimes where we'd make a hire and I'd be like, whoa, let's get that coach and all this, just because I guess our standards got watered down so much, and to see real professionals, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody from the former staff. It's night and day. It's just night and day. As far as the players go, man, we won't know anything for another probably 7-8 more practices. In my opinion, I think this was more for the coaching staff to see how the guys move, who do they play better next to, who's too small, who's too big. I think it's really more of that right now, and it's going to be more of that probably in the next week. I don't think we'll get anything really juicy probably for another 4 or 5 more practices, in my opinion. After they hit a little bit, after they have, their close scrimmage, I think then we'll get some leaked decent information. But for me, the most exciting thing was just to see what a real program looks like in modern day football. That to me, that's what it was.
I think, just based off, I haven't been able to get out there, but just based off of the periods that some of the media has been able to see, I don't know. I kind of feel like a different vibe from even the media and how they're talking about this team and to be quite honest with you, it just sounds different. It just sounds different. Like they're not talking about, oh, look at this incredible play by this guy. Maybe every once in a while you'll see some of that, but you really see them talking more about the intensity of the coaching staff. Look at this. Look at how this coach is doing this. Look at how this coach is doing this. Look how the player responds to how this coach is doing this. Right? It's not necessarily TVD threw a 40-yard bomb to Michael Redding. Oh my gosh, that's it right there. 1-2 punch, national championship. No, it's more about it's more about that, and it's exciting to hear that, right? It's exciting to hear that because that's what you want to hear. You want to hear these kids getting after it. You want to hear James Williams punched Xavier Restrepo for no reason, and then Restrepo, and whether it's true or not, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, here we go." Right? No, man, that's good. I want to hear that. I want to hear them getting after it. I want to hear them getting intense with each other, and I just think that's a product of El Gran Capitan up at the top, right? So I just think that obviously, like you said, we're going to see more later on as when spring break kind of wraps up and you start getting into some more serious and more intense practices. So But really, honestly speaking, like the biggest. Oh, Vish, you want to say something? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just in that same context, I'm just happy that the focus is on the field and actually getting better as a football team. Like, there's no let me tape 7-6 to a tackling dummy and then go 6-7. Let me spend all this time tweeting out gifs. I mean, it's funny in retrospect. This is what was happening in our previous off seasons. I talked to a recruit, so I'm gonna, tweet out a gif of Hurricane Andrew spinning. Like, no, go do the work on the field. Like, Mario's gonna let his team do his talking. He doesn't need to like do a publicity stunt. And that is something that it's all been about on the field. There's no sideshow. There's no circus. Whatever's happening is about how are we getting bigger and stronger? How are we competing? What are we gonna do schematically? It's all been football. I feel like the last 3 years has been a lot of sideshow, a lot of what's going on with this thing, what's going on with that thing, and what jewelry are we gonna wear. Like I am so happy we can just talk about football.
Absolutely. But truthfully, like what I mentioned earlier, right when I brought you on, Flo, is what's going on behind the scenes right now, right? Like spring break, everybody thinks that everybody goes on vacation, and and the kids are doing this and the kids are doing that, and is this spring break? Is this spring different from that perspective as well, from the player side, and then of course the coaches? So how do coaches kind of approach recruiting now when it comes to springtime or spring break, or when there's off time per se, quote unquote?
Well, I think one of the cool things is, we're seeing it done by the top guys. It's kind of cool when you have celebrities in your coaching staff. You know what I mean? It's not just the head coach. I mean, you got Charlie Strong, you got Kevin Steele, you got, a guy that ended up being the second best recruiter in the country last year. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and I'm just throwing names out there, but like, they show you the right way to do it at the highest level. So, for example, and I'm not taking shots at any other school, but you guys saw, I'm sure you saw, how certain school, we'll just say it that way, sang happy birthday to a certain recruit, right?
Ask Vish about that. He'll tell you.
I'm not here to take shots. I'm just saying, because I'm really grateful for that school, by the way, like very grateful. I hug every FSU fan I see, like, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You're the greatest. You guys just changed our life. Thank you so much." And they think I'm crazy. But to just be professional, but still give the attention, and it's focused attention, right? It's different. It's not just let's see how many edits we can put out there. What cool songs can we attach? Like, yeah, we'll give them the little swag and their attention, but it's also, hey, look at this plan we have for you. And it's not just a plan your first year. Look at this plan that we have throughout your whole time here. And then after, like, Mario is infamous for having detailed plan for recruits that are like 5-6 year plans for these guys, not just while they're here at University of Miami. People make fun of him for the way he does interviews. You will be shocked. I mean, if you ever want to do a show on just recruiting where we have a couple hours, you will be shocked on the process he uses as far as recruiting goes. You think that him doing the interviews to coaches was crazy the way, when you heard those get leaked out. You should hear how he approaches recruiting. I mean, we joke around, right? When we say this man doesn't sleep. I mean, how about our head coach on probably one of the toughest days of his life, right?
Yep. Showing
up. Not just showing up, being like, hey, it's good. This is what she would have wanted. Let's go. It's about this. Like Vish said, it's football, 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 football. Not look at me, look at our cool new hats, or look at these new cool drills we're going to do. So recruiting right now has not stopped. It's nonstop. It's calculated. It's focused. It is so cool for me because, as you guys know, that's my little niche. I really enjoy recruiting, and I've learned so much in the last 2 months on wasted time, wasted money, and where real money should be spent and how it's spent. I don't know if that makes sense. It's incredible. It's incredible to see that we're not just taking a shot at a 5-star because he's ranked a 5-star. It's we'll go after that 5-star just as hard as we go after that 3-star that's over there in Georgia right now that's actually committed somewhere else. And we'll go after him with the same intensity. Because guess what? We develop now. I said this early on the Flow Motion show. I was like, we actually can develop. They don't care about rankings. They care about culture, guys, intangibles, variables. That's what they're targeting. And if he happens to be a box checker because he's 7'5" and 420 pounds, then great. But if he's not, what's his variables? Is he a culture guy? Because that's what he's doing this year, if we haven't noticed. He's changed everything. I mean, he's even conditioned the media, which is in Miami, which good luck with that normally. But he's actually conditioned the media. So recruiting is never stops, and it's different because of how calculated it is. You just don't hear the hurrah, look at me. You just show up at practice, and all of a sudden, you didn't have a list of guys that were going to be there until maybe the night before. Before, if we had a couple guys coming to practice, you would know 2 weeks before. Guess who's coming? Tell the kid. There's just guys showing up there. Oh, my God, look who's here. When did he get there? You know, he's just a genius. He's just a genius.
It's unbelievable the way he does it. I mean, look, and it starts off. We had him on the show last week. I don't know if you got to see it, but we had Antonio Tripp on the day after he committed. And you want to talk about culture? You want to talk about the type of kids that he is going after?
Yep.
And that is the epitome of what you're talking about, Flo. I mean, if you sit down and you have a conversation with him, you're just like, you're blown away with the way he speaks, the respect that he has, his family, the culture, the research that he did. He didn't just come in and say, oh, the U swagger, woo, cool, let's commit. No, the guy's like, oh, well, they're number one in this and they're number one in business, and I want to study either kinesiology or I want to do this. Yep. And we did the research. And now you're talking like, hold on a second. If this kid, God forbid, something happens to him, he's set because he knows what's going. He knows what's up, right? Like he's right here. He's right here. And before you had some kids that were just like, "Yo, I'm gonna go play at the U because it's the crib." And
who
gives a crap about that, right? Like
that's true, though.
Man. You know, so
it's true.
It's different. Like, and I spoke to his old man. I spoke to his pops. I'm like, "Yo, pops," because he hit me up. He's like, "Yo, I want to get the link to watch my son," and I'm like, "Yo, why don't you go talk to him?"
Right.
And next, in the room, he's like, "Nah, he lives on campus." I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a second. This is a different kind of kid right here. This is, I mean, we're talking to someone that's like, when it comes to like IQ, football IQ, just a smart, educated person. Like, it was like, hold on a second, I'm talking to a man. You know what I mean? And it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So if that's the type of guy, the type of person, forget about player, the type of person that he's recruiting, then I mean everything that's going to follow from there, it's unbelievable. So right, so like it's incredible.
It's like attracting like, right? Like, what Mario's about. Those are the kids that are going to want to play for him. And when you have the coach that's not serious, like in the past, they're coming here, like you said, because it's the crib and to have fun. These kids know they're going to come here, they're going to work their ass off. They're going to have to. And that's going to lead to success, and the success is going to be fun. Right? You earn that fun. And that the kids attracted to that culture, those are the ones that are going to start coming in. So it's both things. He's going to target those kids, but also those kids are not interested in the Manny Diaz program. Right?
Facts.
And that's so even if he tried to they're like, no, I want to go to a serious person who is going to force me to be my best. These are all high school kids. They're not fully developed adults. They need that structure, and they need that coach to bring the best out of them. I don't care how talented you are. If you get in the wrong situation, it is cutthroat. You're not going to succeed. So they're looking at Manny Diaz, and they're like, no, that is not the right guy to groom me to be successful. And to Jazz's point, when we talked to Antonio Tripp, he's talking off the field and on the field.
Yep.
Mario's laying out the plan for him you're going to work hard. This is how you're going to succeed in football. If that doesn't work out, this is how you're going to succeed at life anyway. Manny's trying to take them on a yacht. And that's just a different, that's going to be the instant gratification that causes them to transfer in a year. Right? Or causes them to you saw the mass exodus. Or, that's how we lose games, right? I'm going to take you on the yacht and show you the turnover chain. That's the instant gratification that does not lead to long-term success. This is the other way around. I'm not promising you squat. other than you're going to work hard and we're going to put you in a position to succeed. The rest is up to you. And successful people, they're drawn to that.
Yep.
Because that's what they want. They want to bet on themselves. So you're just going to see that happen. And people know what Mario's about. You talk to him for 5 minutes. You're like, yeah, that's the man.
Yep.
And that's why you're going to see these guys coming in. And they're going to be excited to be part of this program.
So recruiting nuggets, okay? Maybe we shouldn't call them nuggets. We're just going to call them recruiting tidbits. And nobody better than you and the boys you have over on Team Miami Flo, okay? So one thing that he told me, I told him straight up, what do you want to tell the Canes fans, right? And he was like, ooh, get ready, boys, because we got some dogs coming, right? Like we got some big dogs coming. I'm gonna bring everybody from the DMV area. I'm gonna do this. And you already see it on Twitter. If you see Tripp, he's already recruiting the hell out of everybody, right? So I mean, he's talking about guys like Malik Bryan and Peyton Kirkland, TJ Shanahan, and all these big dogs, right? These big Igbiagjabi or whatever his last name was, the big defensive end. I'm bound to screw up a name here and there, as DJ would like to remind me all the time. But maybe you can kind of shed some light as to, you don't have to put out names out there, but we all saw Malik Bryant put us in his top 2. Nico Iamaleava put us in his top 5, although it looks like it's an Oregon-Tennessee battle, but again, you never know. Okay, you put us in the top 5. Dante Moore is posting pictures of him in UM gear. So, like, and these are all 5-star cats, right? Like, we're not talking about, Pepito that plays at, at so-and-so school, which, by the way, it still would have been great, right? Right now, we're not hearing about so many commits, right? Because everybody wants to have a commit already or 2 commits, or we want to see this going. How does Mario approach that, especially with these high-profile cats? And is there anybody out there that we're kind of looking at that maybe some of the, some of the Miami fans are really not going to know about, that might be either flying under the radar or just big time names that we didn't even know we're going after?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing that's going to take time, and I like to use the word condition because I think that's what it is. In recruiting, you get used to a certain style, a certain way of doing things, even if you're someone that, covers it or is part of it or whatever it is, you're conditioned to do it a certain way. You have certain timelines. You kind of know what kind of players, you kind of know what they're going to tell the players. You have your way. It's kind of like whoever teaches you, you kind of do it their way and then you spin it your own way, right? Well, this is a completely different other animal because everybody's in play, but like realistically, not like, oh, it's cool that he put us in his top 5. Like we used to just get excited. Hey, at least we made his top 5. No. It's when you dig into some of these young men's circle, this is like Miami's like really a threat for him to pick us. And this is just a man that's only been here, 3.5 months, 4 months. And so what I like that you brought up is high profile guys. I can tell you that we're in it for every high-profile guy. I promise you that's not me drinking the Kool-Aid. It's not just because it's Marl. It's that squad that he's put around himself. He's surrounded himself with killers, not like him, but they're close, okay? So I don't really want to talk too much about the high-profile guys because those guys are always going to get the puck. We're going to see them on social media. We're going to see them at the camps. Everybody's going to write about them. Oh my gosh, look, he wore this hat at this camp. Does that mean he's going there? All that's going to happen. But I'll bring up a guy that I actually brought him up earlier today. His name is Jaden. I want to remember. I forgot his last name right now. I think it might be Davis, but I'm not 100%. He's a commit to Louisville. He's only a 3-star, and he lives in Georgia. Well, he's committed to Louisville, like I said, lives in Georgia, and Miami's going to bring him in for a visit. Who just came from Georgia? Adai.
Jamil Adai, right.
Right. This kid is a corner, coincidentally. But here's where I'm trying to bring this around. Look at the type of attention we're showing a guy that's committed and is not a 5-star guy. That tells you how different they're approaching things. They don't care if we think, but he's only a 3-star. Yeah, because that's what we see, and that's what the rankings say. These guys go, That guy will start year 2. It's Davis. Okay, cool. Thanks, Max. Max is even getting me on your show. Boy, I love it. That's my dog right there. No, but my point that I'm getting at is it's nobody's safe with this guy. Like, it doesn't matter if you're committed. That no, look what happens, right? They come and take BMAC. You think it was coincidence that we went and took a guy? No, that's a shot. Oh, you come take one of our guys? I go take your best recruiter. How about that? And then I go take your graphics person. And then I go take your money guy. And then that's real.
He took their strength guy too, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, he took like 4 people from them, like at the end of the day. So, no, he's a corner. Doe. I love him. Where I'm going with this is recruiting is different because everybody's in play that we actually want to spend time to go after. And I'm gonna bring it back to how I started. He's been here 3.5, 4 months. And look what they're saying, what the recruits are saying. They're actually coming to take visits. Can you imagine where we're gonna be once this guy puts a product on the field? Because listen, the team what you see now, as you guys know, that roster ain't gonna look nothing like that in August. Nope. I'm just if y'all don't know that are watching and listening to the show, a lot of that roster is gonna be a lot different in August. So the product on the field should match our coach. And if it does, not to get too far ahead, guess what that means? All these relationships that have been built, trust him even more because why? He's doing what he said he's going to do.
Right.
And nowadays, there's 2 good things that the recruits care about more than anything nowadays. Do what you say you're going to do, and what can you do for me in NIL deals? That's it. If you can check those 2 boxes and you have a good product on the field, it used to be like, go get cool with the mom. Go get cool with the dad. Who's the decision maker? All right, you'll start year 1. Mario tells me straight up, you're not coming and start for year. Like, I love it. No lying involved. But here's the plan for you. And this is what's going to happen. And look what I did over here. And ask this guy and call this guy and check up on what I said. He tells him, go ask around. I do what I say I'm going to do. What coach does that? Basically, go interview me. Like, what I'm telling you, I do. And then you go look at his track record. I mean, the dude is like, I still can't believe he's our coach. Like, we're talking and hanging out, but it's just amazing that he's our coach. So yeah, recruiting is it's just different. That's the best way that's a good way. It's just different now. Like, we're really in it. It's not just hoopla or getting us excited because so-and-so is coming on campus. These guys are going to be on campus all the time. All the time, these kind of guys are going to be in our campus. And they're not going to promote it every time they come. Oh, look who's here on the golf cart.
Because it's just gonna be like
yeah,
day.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. Like, how many times did the local media report guys that no one had a clue was coming on campus as soon as spring opened up? What is he doing? Oh my God, I just saw this guy. This guy and his parents are here. Oh, that just happened, right? That just happened. Yeah. Like, he's got us.
It's gonna be fun. One more question before we get you out of here, because I know you gotta go to the range and get ready for.
El Machete is coming. El Machete is coming.
Oh man, we got a question here from Mitchell L. Is it possible that we have a 2 quarterback system like they had in Michigan? I'm just gonna say one word. I'm gonna think. I'm gonna say, oh God, I wanted to say no, but then I look at Ja'Cory Brown and I'm like, I didn't even mention Jake Garcia. I look at Ja'Cory Brown and I'm like, oh crap, maybe I don't know what the hell. Flo, we'll get to you first before we get you out of here. How do you feel about that?
I think there will be packages for Ja'Cory. I mean,
more than Jake.
Yeah, because that's why I said I was real careful what I said. I'm not saying Ja'Cory's better than Jake. Right.
Yeah, it's just different style.
Ja'Cory inside the 20 is a problem. Is a problem for defenses, and the dude is bigger than all our quarterbacks. Like, I mean, he runs like a deer. Like, so I would be shocked if there wasn't packages for goal line or short yardage where he's a threat, and certain personnel, they force certain personnel on defense to stay on the field because he's on the field. He might be a decoy. I don't know. I don't really know. I hear little rumors. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, I would be surprised if we don't see some packages in for Ja'Cory.
Fair enough. That's why I said Ja'Cory. I didn't even say Jake because I think he's going to be a special cat. So, let them know what you got going on, what you got cooking, Flo.
Nah, man, same old stuff. We do recruiting over at the channel. Everything we make, we give back to the players. We try to support the squad. We rep everybody, man. We support everybody on YouTube. My show's on Sundays. We got Max on Tuesdays and E and Dave on Thursdays. I'm doing Flow Mo now on Wednesdays and Fridays during spring. And just love the you, man. Love you guys. Thanks for having me on. I wish I could have stayed on longer tonight. I appreciate you having me on, though. Thank you.
No problem, man. Thank you, Flo. We appreciate it, brother.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Flo.
Flo is bringing it strong. El General. I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. Yeah,
we gotta get an update on this golf next week, man. See if you guys are.
We're playing next week.
All right.
Yeah, following week. So.
Okay. I think we need to. You might need to, place a little wager on some spicy nuggets or something.
I don't know if I have it. I don't know.
Spicy nuggets. I love it.
I don't know if I have that much money.
I mean, you can throw some nuggets out there, though.
I'm gonna have to get an NIL deal myself. Shit.
Well, all Team Miami Flo merchandise goes to support you, Jazz. So.
Thanks. Well, sure. Nah, man, that goes to the kids.
That's awesome. The thing is, if you didn't pick up on what he was saying, all the Team Miami Flo, all the gear they sell and all, they just take that money and give it an NIL deal. So it's a great cause, helping the program. So.
Pretty awesome. Before we finish off, I wanna give some props. Vish, DJ, I want to give some props to the Miami Hoops team, both the women's and the men's team, as they are set to start their journey in the NCAA tournament. The Heat. Listen to me. The Canes play. The men play USC. They're a 10th seed, and then the women play as an 8th seed. Who they play? Vish?
South Florida.
South Florida. That's right, South Florida. So big shout out to them. What do you want to see out of both teams, Vish?
So the men definitely have a better chance of getting, even though they're a lower seed, of getting out of the weekend just because
they're playing a better bracket, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the way we'll start with the women maybe, because the way the women's basketball works is the first 2 rounds are on campus, and the worst seed to be is an 8 or a 9 seed, because what that means is your second game is on the road at one of the best teams in the country, and
thank you, General.
Yep, thanks, General. And then for our women, they got an 8 seed, which means they happen to get lined up with the best team in the country. So if they win the first game against South Florida, which South Florida is actually really good, they only lost 8 games this year. They one of them was like to Connecticut really close. They beat Stanford on the road, who's the number 1 seed. They beat Oregon, who's a top 10 team. So they're good. It's not going to be an easy one, but if you get past that, you're at the number 1 team in the country. The second game is just so. Honestly, the goal is win the first game and give South Carolina a competitive match, and you've done probably as well as you can. South Carolina's lost 2 games all year, and it's on the road. For the men, they can legitimately get out this weekend. They can definitely do that. Like USC is a weird matchup. It's completely a contrast style. They're huge. If you followed the men's team this year, we're undersized. Kind of everyone's down a position. USC starts 4 guys that are 6'9" or tall, and then their point guard's 6'3". Yeah,
the Mobley brothers.
Yeah. Well, they got one of them left. The other one's
that's
gone.
Right.
But Isaiah Mobley's their best player. But even like their kind of 3-point shooting guard is 6'9". Like they're big, but they're not quick. And Miami relies on turnover steals to do fast break, so. It's just going to be whoever's style wins out. If it becomes a grinded-out game, USC is bigger. They're going to win in the half court.
Just like when we play FSU, their length is what got us. So
yeah, but those were 2 one-point games. I think USC is an extreme of that. They're also a veteran team, so forcing turnovers will be a little bit more difficult. But we're definitely going to be quicker than anything they've really played against, and they got to guard us too.
Right.
So when you start trying to put a 6'9" guy on like Wong, that's a bad matchup for them. So something's going to give there. I don't know what.
One way or the other.
Yeah, and then if Miami wins that, it'll probably be Auburn in the next game. Auburn's slumping a little down the stretch here. Miami actually has a better record in the last 10 games than them. So I mean, there's definitely and actually probably might match up. It's definitely match up cleaner with them in terms of can just 1-to-1 line up against them. Those are winnable. I think what's successful for the men is to win both games and go to the Sweet 16. It's not that they're favored to do that, but it's possible. So you figure why not? The women can. I mean, Coach Meyer, I'm actually friends with. Like, I love that program. They can't win at South Carolina. That's just it's not a fair bracket, but it's just not happening. I mean, that's
it is what it is. What I want to see, DJ, before we finish off with you, I don't, I caught a couple of the games. I didn't get to see a lot of the games, but what I really want to see, I think that the biggest X factor for me is the play of Sam Wardenberg. I think that he's the guy because you know what you're going to get from Cam Augusta, you know what you're going to get from Isaiah Wong. At you're going to get great defense from Jordan Miller, and he's going to be able to shoot and score a little bit as well, right? So you got some of the other guys, Charlie Moore chipping in. And you've got what's this guy's name? I'm losing my train of thought now with the other cadets. Oh, Anthony Walker, and some of the other cats. But for me, man, I think it's Sam Wardenberg. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be able to set the tone because he's inconsistent, right? Like for me, just based off of what I've seen him play, he's got some games where you look at him and he's Dirk Nowitzki. It's unbelievable. He can shoot from anywhere on the court, and then if you let him get a lane, he's going to be able to drive and he can throw it down, right? So he's got some game, but he's not very consistent. He has a tendency to go real cold, maybe turn the ball over a little bit. So maybe get into foul trouble. So he's the kind of guy that I want to see. If we have a really good game from a guy like Wardenberg, I think that the possibility of us winning that game and really doing a really good job just jumps a lot. I don't know how you feel about that, Vish.
yeah, no, definitely. And one of the things against Duke in the ACC tournament, he was hesitating to take his shot. He just got to fire.
Yeah.
We need him shooting those threes to pull their center away from the basket. And Duke is big as well, and that I think spooked him a little bit. Like when he has to physically battle down low, he does it. He does a great job for his side. He should be playing the 4. He plays center, and he battles with these big kids. He's going to have to do it this week. He's probably going to have to check Mobley. But he still needs to make Mobley play defense. That's the big thing. The way we're successful is we're pretty much always smaller than the other team. But Wardenberg's the one who's like, you got to guard him at the 3-point line as a center. That screws up everyone's defense. The rim protection comes away from the basket. So he's got to shoot. Like, I don't care if it goes in. Just keep shooting. And then it'll pull their defense out of sorts. And that's why we're tough to match up against because we play weird. We spread the floor out with 5 guys. We kind of whip it around. Everyone can create their own shot. The center hits threes. It's a hard matchup. So, but we do need him to just be aggressive and shoot. I agree with you, actually. I think he's the X factor because if he can stay out of foul trouble and knock down his jumpers, USC's gonna have to make a decision on how do they want to start pulling some of their starters off and go smaller.
Right.
If he doesn't do that, and he doesn't punish them for playing big, they will punish us because I mean, there's only so much a 6'3" person can do against a 6'9" person trying to match up on them.
It's the wear and tear, right? Like as the game goes on. Yep, you're right. So
Mitchell, appreciate the hat compliment, and Gary, that Dirk comparison.
Well, you know what I meant.
You went for my man there, man.
There is in no way do you want to compare them to, but you know what I mean. Yeah, he's white, that's why, right? That's why I said it. What the hell? Who cares? DJ, any last parting words, my friend?
For me, for the Miami men's basketball team, it has to be the play of Jordan Miller. For me, he's been playing more a complete game, particularly on the glass. He had 13 rebounds against Duke, and then he also had 13 rebounds against Syracuse earlier this month. Not only that, he's a very high efficient type of shooter. So if he can continue to be efficient as well as continue to battle on the glass, I think that would be huge for Miami. He only averaged just over 6 rebounds per game this season, and he's already doing his part on the glass here in tournament and postseason play. So I think he is certainly an X factor for this team.
Yeah, that's another. I love both of those guys. I think Jordan Miller's got some talent. So best of luck to both the men and the women this weekend in the tournament. We got that going on. We've got El Clasico, and then of course coming at you in about 10 minutes now. is the our brand new and all new 5 Reasons Sports show called Hitting the Apex. It's a first F1 show that we're going to throw out to you guys. We're really excited about it. Vish and I are part of it. The return of Manny Chang, Moni Libro. I hope I'm saying her name right. Ale and Twitterless Tony. Twitterless Tony. We'll all be talking a little F1 racing as the new season starts off. The 2022 season starts this weekend in Bahrain. So really excited to bring that to you. So you guys stay tuned because we'll be coming back at you in just about 10 minutes with an awesome new show. Thank you guys, DJ, Vish. You guys do a great job. Thank you to Flo for coming on and everybody that's listening as well. Make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. Smash that like button, and we'll hope to see you next Wednesday with some brand new stuff. Take it easy, fellas. And Vish, I don't know. I thought you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I was going to echo what you're saying. If you guys don't have anything to do, just stick around. Same channel. And
you like F1, and you're watching Drive to Survive like everybody else.
Even if you don't like F1, stick around, support us.
It'll be fun.
You'll like F1 by the end of the show. So
I'll be tuning in for a little bit at least.
Baby. So. There we go, baby. We'll see you guys later. Go Canes.
Go Canes.